Our boy pulls up his status like a profile, a naturally awakened 27-year-old who was born overpowered. He explains that ever since he was a kid he's been physically stronger than everyone around him, but life still combo broke him anyway. After a mysterious accident deleted both his parents and left him buried in debt, our guy got speed run into adult mode. To survive, our bro took the most depressing awakened side quest imaginable, 9 straight years working at a dead monster hauling company. Dragging monster corpses for almost a decade, he clung to exactly one buff, his dream of becoming a pro hunter someday. While he wipes away sweat on the job, one forklift uncle shouts over and teases him about how that hunter money grind is going. Our guy, smiling through poverty, says he's been hunting for a hunter academy that's both affordable and not complete trash. The uncle tells him to sit and relax, then another background NPC basically asks if being awakened alone isn't already enough to coast. They act shocked when he mentions hunter academies, but our bro lectures them that with the exam around for 50 years, schooling is mandatory DLC now. Our bro thinks internally and explains that most instructors are retired hunters who literally paid for their lectures with near-death experiences. An ad for Super Hunter Academy pops up bragging about their legendary pass rate and warning that Academy kids and Academy kids get further apart every day. Our boy laughs a little to himself as he admits that if you want to be a hunter these days, going to Academy isn't optional, it's the whole build. Later, he opens his banking app with a dramatic ta-da and stares at the 40 million one he's clawed together over 9 years. He tells himself that with around this much saved, he's finally got enough money to attend a hunter academy for 1 year. He wishes he could go to one of the big-name schools, but those eat whales for breakfast, so he settles on a mid-tier place and convinces himself it's decent. Just then his phone pings and an email titled Transcendent Academy from Unknown Reality drops into his inbox like a phishing attempt with extra lore. Our guy frowns because he's never heard of anything called Transcendent Academy, but curiosity wins and he taps the link anyway. The website screams about some transcendent paradigm shift and a universe-wide craze, promising tens of thousands of years of instructor experience with personalized curriculums. He watches cheesy testimonial clips where overachievers gush that signing up for this mysterious academy turned their entire lives upside down in the best possible way. The whole thing looks like a late-night scam, but when he checks the homepage it surprisingly resembles a normal Hunter Academy site. He scrolls through the instructor list and nearly chokes seeing a Monkey King profile, so of course our bro clicks it. A smug monkey grandpa appears on screen yelling "Hey students" and proudly calls himself the Monkey King, real name Sun Wu, staff main and chaos enjoyer. The Ferd Boomer explains that staff technique isn't all that different from spear work, which catches our spear-loving MC's attention. Then Wu stops talking and decides to demonstrate, spinning his staff outward, pulling it back in and finally focusing everything into a single piercing strike. With that one move, an entire mountain just disappears from the landscape, leaving our boy staring like he just watched a delete terrain in real time. He wonders if it's all special effects, but it doesn't look like CG and even S-class hunters can't casually nuke mountains like that. A prompt politely asks if he'd like to take this course and promises that finishing it will gift him the Monkey King spin, pull, pierce S-rank technique. Our guy instinctively goes to register, but gets blocked because he's not a member, and another box pops up asking if he wants to sign up first for a price. He sees a weird, calculating karma line, and then the membership fee appears as a soul-crushing 40 million won with tuition extras depending on his situation. Realizing the fee matches literally all the savings he just checked, he labels the whole thing a world-class scam and bails. Later, his work uncle asks if he's off to enroll today, and wants to know which academy is going to eat his savings. Our boy answers that he's chosen Arc Hunter Academy, a place with decent retired hunter instructors that's within his budget tier. The uncles tell him not to forget the small fry if he ever gets famous, and he jokes back that he'll call them to haul away the monsters he takes down. They laugh about dragons and skulls like it's all just pub talk, while our guy privately clings to that dream like it's oxygen. Walking from the uncertain construction site with a contemplative expression, he reflected on the saying that life is a comedy viewed from afar, but close-up life is a tragedy, as the monster being held up earlier is seen dropping down on our boy. Reflecting on pain, the protagonist contemplated that true smiles are born from enduring hardships. Then we cut to the hospital, where a doctor calmly explains that the nerves in our bro's leg are going necrotic because the bone is regrowing into them and tangling. The company suit denies any notion of a workplace accident but conveniently drops that corrective surgery will cost exactly 40 million won. Since they can't let their family business reputation rot, the suit pushes the money across while the doctor warns that if they wait any longer the damage will be permanent. Sitting up in the hospital bed with a broken leg, he lamented on how he waited and waited for 9 years. And in the end, all the money he saved for academy gets funneled straight into surgery bills. He's left gripping a tiny envelope with only 3 million won inside, a consolation gift from one kind coworker who took pity on him. Lying there wondering if he can really start from scratch, he suddenly gets another notification from his phone. That same shady Transcendent Academy. The ad now says the Transcendence path always starts at rock bottom and offers a special discount plus a free pass ticket if he signs up. He says that it's weird, because ever since then he hadn't been able to find anything on this academy. He clicks through and watches as the system again calculates karma before spitting out a new membership fee of exactly 3 million won, the last cash he has. Cold realization hits that last time the site wanted his full 40 million, and this time it wants his full 3, like it always charges literally everything he's got. He hesitates, asks himself if he should just do it, then shrugs that his bank account is basically already empty and taps to register. A completion message pops up. He watches his last 3 million get slurped into digital void. And in the middle of his shock, something climbs out of his phone. A weird little being cheerfully introduces itself as his personal mentor, acting like it's normal to spawn from a smartphone in a hospital bed. Our bro half sure he's hallucinating, while the little guy is busy explaining that he is our boy's assigned mentor and also in charge of getting him up to speed. While the creature insists its name is literally Mentor. Our idiot MC is still confused and not catching on that the creature's name is Mentor. He decides to ask once again what his name is. While laughing he says he is our bro mentor and in fact he is the mentor. Mentor casually drops that his first student was Odysseus way back in myth days and says that ever since becoming a transcendent, he still gets the occasional call from that old hero. Then this cosmic guidance counselor explains that Transcendent Academy doesn't just train hunters, it breaks human limits entirely to turn students into full-on transcendent beings. Our guy is shocked hearing about transcendents and not hunters. When our guy asks about hunters, Mentor scoffs that you can't even compare the two. And just like clockwork, the idiot is still not catching on. He even asks about the S-class hunters. Mentor claims their instructors could crush any hunter alive with a single pinky, and also hands our boy a tablet asking him to fill something out. He hands over a Transcendent Aptitude Test survey, asking our bro which category he wants to transcend in: combat, industry, medicine, spirit, arts, or some mysterious other. The protagonist, looking surprised while holding the survey device, questioned its purpose, prompting the mentor to explain that the test would assess his current level and learning style to customize his training, before instructing him to answer honestly and tapping out. Just then, while answering, our bro runs into a problem. Our guy is fine picking spear-style combat, but then gets slapped with a second question asking if he can do things like plow plains with a rolling thunder kick or casually split mountains, while the mentor just casually tells this dude to pick whichever one he can do, like he's superhuman. Option after option is something insane like plucking a mountain out of the ground, and since he can't even den a boulder, he awkwardly has to answer none of the above god-tier feats. Mentor is baffled that this dude can't even pluck a mountain, and wonders how such a noob slipped through registration, but finishes by saying the academy never rejects a paying member anyway. After he suffers through 108 ridiculous survey questions, Mentor congratulates him, mentions his free pass ticket, and auto-assigns him 2 essential starter courses. He notes our bro favors spears, debates between magic or chi-based paths, dismisses the Monkey King course as overkill for someone who can't handle mountains, and instead locks in 2 basics. The first is a mind course titled The Moment the Mind Falls, the Body Crumples Like Paper, taught by a certain Enlightenment legend, and the second is a foundational combat course with a heroic centaur. Mentor points out that our guy is mentally and physically wrecked right now, so he recommends taking the mind course with that Buddha-coded instructor first. Our bro realizes they're talking about himself, the figure headlining entire religions, and Mentor confirms that yes, everyone calls him Buddha even if he protests. We see the Golden Enlightenment boss framed like a living statue while the mentor calls him a renowned mind instructor and a required subject for the Transcendent exam. Mentor says that course is worth more than all the money in the world, but because the guy's always busy trying to save humanity, they basically get it on a cosmic discount. A prompt pops asking if he wants to take the course and promises the Unwavering Mind SSS title on completion, which is basically maxed mental defense. Mentor explains that with an unwavering mind you can handle any transcendent track. Then warns that even if it feels like you're losing your sanity, he needs to push through it. Our boy notices the UI font suddenly turning ominous and realizes that was definitely not a joke. But before he can argue, mentor pieces out to review his profile and leaves him alone with Buddha class. Leaving him clueless, our boy just sits there, saying it's now or never, and decides it's time to move forward. Our boy steels himself and loads into Buddha class, where a glowing monk basically asks him where the world even exists as an opener. He stares at this living gold statue version of enlightenment and thinks, is this really the Buddha, or did my painkillers evolve? The lesson voice calmly declares that the word I doesn't exist, therefore you don't exist, and our guy immediately feels his remaining brain cells packing their bags. It keeps going, saying if there's nothing to compare and no way to define anything, then what even is existence? And our bro's mind starts doing the Windows error sound. The course explains that the world and universe begin and end with you, but also that you are the world, and our guy just sits there like, cool, zero comprehension, thanks. A tiny progress bar pops up showing he's at 0.06%, which feels like being told he hasn't even finished the tutorial text box. A week later, the hospital doctor checks his chart and freaks out at how insanely fast his leg has recovered. Even for an awakened patient, this kind of healing speed is on the we should publish a paper level of ridiculous. Our boy realizes it wasn't just spiritual cope. His brain-breaking class genuinely eased his mind and kicked his recovery into high gear. He admits he nearly lost his sanity in the process, but then checks and sees he's only cleared about 1.3% of the course. The doctor says they'll keep him an extra week for monitoring, and our guy nods while secretly wondering what kind of monster he'll be at 100%. Agreeing with the doctor with a smile on his face. He decides the Transcendent Academy isn't some cheap scam after all, it's terrifying but real. Once he can shuffle around, he figures it's time to test the combat side and opens the course with legendary horse teacher. Lying in the hospital bed and contemplating his progress, he reflected that while transformation level A was lower than unwavering mind, achieving such a level was probably still quite difficult, and he acknowledged that with SSS unwavering mind any category was manageable, though he guessed that unwavering mind itself was just incredibly hard. The screen introduces a dignified centaur who calls himself the instructor and politely welcomes our guy to basic transcendent combat. Our bro realizes this is the same mythical mentor who trained half the famous heroes of Greek and Roman stories and just sighs, yeah, of course it is. Horse Sensei explains that the goal of this class is to prepare each student for their full transcendent journey, not just give them a few cool combos. He warns that they won't be focusing on specific combat methods here, which already sounds suspiciously like pure suffering. Clearing his throat, the sensei said that the first step to becoming a transcendent. Then with zero warning, he orders our guy to get up and move his butt right now, flipping from professor to drill sergeant in half a second. An assignment window drops in front of our bro listing a daily routine of a 30 km run, 1,000 squats, 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, and 150 pull-ups. Looking at this cursed shopping list of pain, our boy clutches his chest and wonders if they think he's Two-Punch Man, off-brand. He remembers the real-world doctor explicitly telling him not to overdo anything this week. So he tries to be clever and decides to skip the workouts for now and just watch the lessons. The system immediately starts spamming him with unfinished assignment alerts, hijacking his notifications and even his call screen like a clingy ex. He panics, realizing the academy somehow knows he didn't do a single rep, and eventually surrenders with a broken fine, I'll do it. He goes back to Buddha class for a bit, but then notices a timer telling him his free pass has only 83 days left, meaning this whole trial package started at around 90 days. He concludes they really are running this like a business with a 3-month timer, not some infinite enlightenment charity. Feeling frustrated, he questioned how the strange academy system truly worked, wondering how to make progress, what content he needed to understand, and which realizations he was missing, as he examined his phone showing little advancement despite having taken the lessons. No matter how many times he replays lecture, his progress stubbornly refuses to move past 1.3%, and he starts wondering what enlightenment checkbox he's missing. After a week of zero mental progress and maximum confusion, he sighs that there's no way he's finishing this course properly in just 83 days. Resigned, he turns back to the physical grind and decides to at least tackle the workout quests, starting with push-ups. He admits it's been a while since he did serious training, but also reminds himself he spent 9 years hauling 70-kilo monster corpses, so he's not exactly sedentary. He starts counting reps, 1, 2, 3, pumping himself up with "I'm still awakened, I can do this" energy, when he finally crawls to 300. He smirks that after 9 years of brutal manual labor, this little set is basically nothing. Then he opens the assignment window and nearly dies again, seeing that the system only counted 81 of his push-ups. Our bro is stunned, scratching his head and wondering why it only counted 81 when he did 300. Horrified, he tests it again and confirms that yes, if the form sucks, it literally doesn't count. But with a proper push-up form, it gets counted and increases. Coming to a realization, he says this means only one thing. He realizes the academy only registers proper reps with good form, meaning all his sloppy desperation pumps were emotionally satisfying but technologically invisible. After a montage of suffering where he forces every exercise into pristine form, he finally gets full clears across the board. 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, 150 pull-ups, 1,000 squats in the dreaded 30 km run. He screams to the universe that bad form doesn't count and swears this academy is actually trying to kill him before he transcends. Collapsed on the ground, he hears an older lady that it's such a shame to see a young man in that state, while a kid points out, "Mom, that guy's dying." A few days later, he's walking the halls again. And the anti-patient tells him he's practically glowing, asking if he's heading out to exercise one more time. He awkwardly laughs and says yeah, before she compliments what a hardworking little guy he is and nostalgically complains about youth. The lobby TV shows breaking news of a 4-star behemoth appearing downtown and nearly turning Sea Owl into a crater. They explain the monster was only knocked out, not dead, when a hauling company tried to transport it, and it woke up mid-city run like a final boss respawn. Luckily, a nearby awakened student from a fancy academy swooped in, took control of the situation, and prevented any casualties. The broadcast then lovingly drops the elite academy and its S-class poster child, basically rubbing salt into our bros' community college wounds. Watching hunters get praised on screen, Auntie admits they look seriously cool, saving lives with cameras rolling and sponsors ready. The auntie then turns to him and asks if he isn't also an awaken like the hero on TV. He confirms he is. But when she asks if he's going to be a hunter like them, he trails off, reality weighing more than any corpse he's hauled. Just then, this old fart turns around and dumps the truth on our boy, that not just anyone can end up on TV. He mutters that not just anyone can become a pro in this era, and that the odds of getting that kind of spotlight are basically zero. Grandma NPC clucks her tongue and says it wasn't nearly that hard back when she was younger. Sneering at our bro and continuing to rain on his parade. The senile grumpy old fart asks if he's even enrolled in an academy yet. He tells him bluntly that if he thinks just working out will make him a hunter, he should quit now and not waste his youth on impossible dreams. Our boy's jaw tightens, his hands clench. The grandma bashes the old fart, but he insists he's just giving good advice. He tells them to keep that advice to themselves, which makes the geezer mad. He turns toward and tells him to mind his own business, leaving him shrinking under the weight of our bro's frustration. Our boy walks away from discount dream crusher grandma, still stinging, and mentally doubles down that he's not dropping this hunter thing just because a lobby NPC said so. He thinks back over the last few weeks, Buddha melting his brain, horse teacher trying to kill his legs, and that cursed free pass timer, and decides if the normal path to pro hunter is a snowball's chance in hell. Then fine, he'll just become something even worse and more broken than a hunter through this sketchy Transcendent academy, and make the whole world regret telling him to give up. The scene shifts to someone complaining about not wanting to be a hunter anymore. The exhausted academy owner, who groans that founding their own hunter academy was pointless, since it's just draining money, pulling in zero students, and making them hate the entire idea. Meanwhile, our boy finally gets discharged, flops face first into his tiny place with a home sweet home, and admits it's not much, but after 2 full weeks in the hospital, it feels like heaven. He's still amazed his awakened body got a full recovery in only 2 weeks, but reality drips back in as he remembers the hunter test is about a year away. And his bank account is basically a horror story. He checks his balance, sees the nothingness, mumbles that he really has no money left, and then gets yanked out of despair by a sudden daily assignment completion notification. Our boy realizes he was so focused on finishing Kyron's brutal daily quest that he never actually watched the combat lesson, so he opens the course menu and scrolls to the intro to Transcendent combat lessons. A prompt asks if he wants to watch the next lesson. He mashes yes, gets a little too hyped. And suddenly horse teacher appears praising him for finally being strong enough to take baby steps. Kyron's hooves clop as he asks if our little one is ready for his very first true step toward transcendence. He declares that the first step to becoming transcendent is sense, then flips the entire concept of fighting on its head and instantly bumps our guy's course progress up to 5.7%. The next morning at work, his goblin boss greets him with a sarcastic, "Well, Mr. Huge Surgery, guess it wasn't such a big deal." then yanks his collar and threatens to fire him if he pulls a stunt like that again. Our bro bows, apologizes, and thinks to himself that he doesn't want to be back here either. But he's got a stomach to feed and rent to pay, so quitting is not on the menu. He figures the boss at least feels guilty enough not to kick him out. But the guy is still loudly pretending workers' comp doesn't exist and calling that near amputation barely a scratch. As he drags carts, our thinker MC realizes money is now a huge problem. If he doesn't work, he can't eat, but if he does work, he won't have enough time or energy for lessons. Kyron's course is especially scuffed, since you can't even watch the lesson unless you first finish whatever insane daily assignment he's thrown at you. Our guy wonders if he should just keep reviewing old classes instead, then tries to remember what Kyron even said last time, something about the senses. In his memory, Centaur Sensei lectures that the five senses sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell are crucial in combat, but using them normally is too slow. The instructor explains that when you're hit with stimuli, the five senses perceive, process, then judge. But all those steps are unnecessary padding. In a real fight, Horseman promises to teach him how to strip all that down to the bare minimum. Not by leaning on the usual five senses, but by tapping something dormant inside him. He names that hidden power the sixth sense, instinct, and says that's what our boy needs to awaken. Back in the present, a coworker uncle sneaks up and jokes that the little punk doesn't even say hi to him anymore, startling our bro, but he unintentionally dodges the hit with his instincts. Our guy is confused because he never heard the man coming, realizing he's starting to react like he's got eyes in the back of his head. Big Uncle then worries aloud if our boy is serious about this load. 3 monsters, over 400 pounds total, seems like way too much right after surgery. Our bro grins that he's fine and tells them to pile the corpses on, acting like a human forklift deluxe. Our bro starts skipping off like he's got nothing on his back. The other workers admit he does look okay, but they still call for break time, clearly unsure how he's tanking this. Our boy bounces with way more energy than before, saying today he feels strangely full of power while everyone else complains this job just gets harder the longer you stay. He clenches his fist and thinks maybe he can squeeze his daily assignment in during work, since he won't have time or energy after his shift anyway. So he starts squatting with monster weight on his shoulders, counting out loud, and immediately regrets it because his body is still wrecked and sore. He wipes sweat, pulls out his phone, and checks the quest tracker to see if his suffering even counted. And our guy is left there with his mouth hanging open. To his shock, he sees that his one weighted squat has registered as 3 squats on the system. He realizes adding weight might make each rep count more, and if so, he might have just found a disgusting cheat. While the other guys tell him to take a break, he mentally hits now loading, and instead loads more corpses onto his workout. He drops into another squat with heavy monsters on him, the ground booming, and one coworker just stares like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Coworkers scream asking what he's doing, but he just watches the numbers fly as each monstrous rep starts adding like 30 plus to his total. He confirms that the heavier the load, the more each rep is worth, and his brain immediately translates that into time and money savings. Later he flops down completely wiped out, admitting that while it's efficient to do the daily assignment at work, it absolutely wrecked his body. He snickers that nobody sane would think to treat giant dead monsters as gym equipment. But for him it's the ultimate time saver. A notification pings that his entire daily assignment is completed: 30 km run, 1,000 squats, 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, 150 pull-ups, all cleared. Even after finishing both Kyron's and Buddha's lessons that day, he checks the time and realizes it's only 10 p.m. His progress reads about 9.1% on Kyron's course and 2.5% on's, and while he's happy he's done early, it feels like a waste to just stop. He thinks maybe he should review something, but then remembers reviewing hasn't really moved those percentages much. Instead, he wonders if he can just pick up an entirely new course, deciding that might be a better use of time. He scrolls through the catalog, notes that regular courses cost money, and filters for anything in the free section. One title catches his eye: The Strength to Pluck a Mountain Technique. Our boy stares and asks if that's Xiong the Conqueror, the legendary warlord from ancient texts. We get a quick blurb about this mythical conqueror, whose overwhelming strength and courage let him face countless enemies head-on. He thinks this free course seems legit enough: big name, big flex, 0 tuition. A prompt offers certification in spear arts, the strength to pluck a mountain A if he completes it, and our spear-obsessed MC can't resist. He hits register and immediately gets verbally jumped by the legendary spearman, who says most people wanting this course are useless garbage. The conqueror sneers, asks if our boy really wants to learn the spear, and calls him trash while stabbing at the camera. Then angry warlord finally agrees to teach, yelling at the maggots that he'll drill spear art into them himself. He says they don't need any of that fancy spin pull pierce nonsense. just constant spinning until the very concept of spear is branded into their body and senses. Right then, a new daily assignment notification appears, customized by Karma to fit our boy's current level. The system declares his next daily quest: swing any spear class weapon 5,000 times. Our MC stares at the 5,000 counter and screams internally that all this guy did was insult him, and that apparently counts as the entire lesson. He also realizes in horror that, just like Horse Guy's regimen, this is another daily assignment, not a one-off mission. Spearman's voice echoes that if our bro thinks he's a spear user, he better start spinning that thing, and only then will they see if he's worthy. Cut back to work, where the company supervisor is bowing and asking a visiting hunter if everything is okay, bragging about their spotless safety record. He insists there's nothing to worry about, groveling extra hard because this guest is clearly important. We see she's a B-class hunter from an established academy, and she asking the manager to double-check the area after that recent behemoth incident. She says she already checked, but asks to do another full sweep just in case. And the man happily sucks up to her, saying, "Yes, madam, whatever you say." Coworkers whisper that this guy looks ready to donate his right arm to impress her. Another worker explains in a hushed tone that she's the granddaughter of the legendary Sword Star, which catches our guy's attention. They name-drop the Sword Star, a hero from 100 years ago who awakened when Gates first appeared. Back then, monsters roamed the streets, humanity didn't understand awakened people, and the world was on the brink. The whole world and humanity itself's survival was questionable. The Sword Star was one of the few who dragged civilization back from the edge, earning the title of savior and true hero. Even now, long after, he's older but still considered one of the strongest beings alive. While the workers gossip, our boy is off to the side doing his leg workouts, sweating and counting 40, like a man possessed. The Sword Star's granddaughter asks what that guy's even doing, and the manager answers not to worry, he's been like that all week. She calls him a stupid weirdo, but admits this company takes all kinds of people to run a place like this. Our guy yells that he is now dropping the monster corpse, while his work uncle just looks on. The uncle asks how long he's going to keep doing this, and our bro innocently asks what he means, still working out. He wipes sweat and insists there's a purpose behind all this insane training. The uncle doesn't buy it, mutters that it's none of his business, and walks off while our guy mumbles something about purpose anyway. While he's busy talking about our boy, he fails to notice the monster behind him squirming. A moment later, something goes terribly wrong nearby and they hear a huge crash and roar, as the monster is seen flying, still up and alive. Everyone panics as a manticore they thought was dead suddenly roars back to life. On the worksite, our bros scream at work uncle to run away as the beast pounces. She declared that she was finally free, criticizing the supervisor as the worst, and confidently dismissed any concerns while standing assertively with her sword in hand. Someone looked toward the woman as she was sighing and standing quietly. She then questioned whether this really was her life. The people from earlier start gossiping again, one asking another if that's her, the Sword Star's granddaughter. She interrupted the gossip, irritated as she declared she was right there as one worker asked which class hunter she was again, noting she was overhearing their whispers from a distance. She stood quietly, contemplating her burdens and reflecting on her lineage, feeling that while everyone whispered reverently about the Sword Star, to her it was simply an albatross around her neck. She starts explaining her backstory that we didn't ask for, stating how her grandfather trained her before she could even walk. Feeling the weight of the Sword Star name, she reflected that it was a heavy burden she never had the talent to bear, forever feeling doomed to be compared to his heroic grandfather. Despite her passionate declaration of wanting to be a teacher, the Sword Star angrily dismissed her hopes, revealing his confrontational attitude amidst the tense atmosphere. She clenched her fist tightly and turned away from him, asserting that she could never have a normal life as the granddaughter of the Sword Star. She pondered the idea of opening a hunter academy, as some members wondered if the Sword Star would be the one to teach there, revealing their curiosity and surprise about the plans. Laughing playfully, she interrupted the moment with a sheet of paper stating that it was only just her. The others yelled that it was a rip-off, and commenting that people had realized the Sword Star was not the instructor. She shouted at them to wait, but they all lost interest when they realized it wasn't the Sword Star himself. He explained that the only applied because of her name, but not because of her. Feeling sorrowful and isolated, she walked away from the scene, reflecting that the other students had left, as if her grandfather had chased them away, leaving the academy seemingly non-existent. Clenching her fist, she thought internally if only she could find the right student. Just then, a worker came running, out of breath. He shouted for everyone to run away. He told everyone that a monster was loose, which shocked the girl. Cutting back to the fight, our bro calls out to his work uncle. Gritting his teeth, he realized that the monster wasn't dead. Thanks man for pointing it out if it wasn't obvious enough. The uncle yells for our MC, telling him to get out and save himself, not to worry about anyone else. Our bro just stand there frozen, wheezing that the uncle is absolutely going to die if he stays. If it wasn't bad enough, he doubles down and says the work uncle just won't die, but he'll die for sure. Our guy whispers that a normal person could never beat a monster like that, and even an awakened with no magic is basically doomed. This isn't some slime either. A core is a solid 4-star threat that gives even pro hunters a hard time. Our boy around shout for hunters, noting that the B-class granddaughter of the Sword Star was here just a second ago. Then someone realizes there's no time, work uncle will die long before help shows. Our boy drops his usual hesitation, rolls forward and tells himself it's now or never. As the monster creeps closer, knowing he has to move right this second if he wants to save the uncle. He asks himself how in the world he's supposed to do it, but his body is already coiling like a spring. As the monster charges forward towards his dinner, he grabs a long steel bar, his only weapon, and charges with a terrified scream. A gust of wind explodes as he moves, launching an attack at the monster, but it dodges. He dives in, forcing him to run, and yells at the uncle to get out of there while he buys time. The uncle protests that he'll also fight and stay, but our bro says that both of them will just get killed and begs him to run instead. Our guy says he has to do it alone, clenching his teeth as he stands between the monster and the rest. He decides his job is to stall the beast until real pro hunters arrive, even if it kills him. Heart hammering, he tells himself not to be nervous, not to hesitate and just do something, anything. In the chaos, his monk teacher words return to him, "You are the universe." Watching the world, wondering what it is. And where it goes, time seems to slow as that cosmic lecture about staying your emotions and watching ripples comes back to him. He recalls the instruction to let the trembling, fearful mind go still like calm water. The monster charges at our boy, ready to take his head off. Hoarse teacher voice overlaps, warning that if you think before you move, you're already too late. Instead, you have to let your senses judge and move first, then let the brain catch up. Our guy dodges the monster's slash and jumps back to create distance from the monster. He instructs himself not to think, and to just let his senses take over. Our boy lunges in, steel bar swinging while the manticore attacks. Jumping into the air, he spots a brief opening, and finally asks himself, should he really commit to an all-out attack, and how he should attack. Spear guy's lesson rings in his head. To pluck a mountain isn't about raw muscle, it's about force of spirit. He's told to trust himself completely, to believe without doubt that the mountain in front of him will move. Veins bulging, our guy clenches the bar. Eyes gleaming, telling himself, I can do it, no, I have to do it. He roars back at the charging manticore, putting everything into one transcendent swing. The strength to pluck a mountain technique explodes out through his steel bar as he smashes the monster head on. There's a massive boom that shakes the whole area, leaving people outside wondering what the hell just happened. They rush over, asking what that noise was, then freeze at the scene. Our boy stands there in the wreckage, stunned, realizing it worked. This girl is just left there stunned. Because this isn't a hunter in armor, it's just the hauling guy holding a steel bar over a dead manticore. She can't believe the corpse hauler, not a trained hunter, killed the beast with a glorified metal stick. He sheepishly scratches his cheek and greets everyone with a casual, oh hey. He rushes to his work uncle, asking if the uncle is okay and checking that he's not hurt. The uncle says he's fine but demands to know how our boy did that. Our bro hand waves it like, I've been working out. Then tells work uncle to head to the hospital anyway, just in case. Management nervously admits they were super careful, but maybe made a tiny mistake in not realizing the monster was still alive. Then the work uncle hugs our MC in a bear grip, shouting that he can't believe this hauling kid pulled that off. Off to the side, the academy owner quietly watches and whispers that she's finally found him. The manager asks what she means, and she says she's finally discovered the right student. The others calls an end to work, tells everyone to go home and get checked out, and says they did well today. As he is walking home from his job, he gets a notification on his phone. Later, our boy checks his Transcendent Academy UI and sees his course progress has jumped way more than any lesson ever gave him. He realizes it was the manticore fight that pushed everything forward, confirming the old saying that real experience is the best teacher, and in his case, almost a lethal one. Our boy realizes the fastest way to juice his transcendent progress bar is to take everything these busted courses teach him and just raw dog it in real life like a walking patch note. Then he remembers the catch. To even step into proper dungeon raids, you need a temporary license from a legit hunter academy, and his cosmic scam school doesn't count for the paperwork. Our guy wonders if he should just save up and go to a real academy, since the government only recognizes boring brick and mortar, not Moodle. While he's stressing over this, corporate blazer Lady Hunter from earlier sneaks up and calls out, "Excuse me," snapping him out of his overthinking. Office Auntie Hunter politely asks for a moment, striding up all poised and professional, and our boy clocks her as that Sword Star grandkid rumor NPC. Our guy wonders what this elite nepotism princess wants from a corpse-hauling gremlin like him, but agrees to listen when she says she'll be straightforward. She drops a boom-level question asking if he'll meet her legendary grandpa, basically throwing a free meet and greet with God at him. Our boy hits her with an even bigger boom by replying, "Nah, I'd rather not," like she just invited him to a timeshare presentation. Blazer Lady short circuits, tries to say she thought he might, only for our guy to wave and start walking off with a casual "I'll be off then." She internally reboots, introduces herself as a 31-year-old corporate, and notes that in all those years nobody has ever spoken to her like this disrespectful goblin just did. Our guy calmly sums it up. She wants him to join a hunter academy that technically exists but has 0 students, 0 clout, and one very desperate instructor. Hearing it phrased like that makes her flinch, and she mentally screams, "Who the hell is this guy?" While replaying him cleaving a weakened manticore like it was a training dummy, she thinks about how he does weird workouts, casually split that monster in half even if it was more like a 2-star threat, and clearly has main character hunter ambitions. Trying to sell the place, she brags that they've got everything, great facilities, all the gear. And yeah, sure, she's the only instructor, but details our boy just apologizes and says he doesn't really need a hunter academy, brushing off her sales pitch like a pop-up ad. She freezes, groans out an and you can literally see her pride taking HP damage. Then she thinks, what if my super grandpa taught you personally, the Sword Star himself, and plays her final trump card. Our bro doesn't even blink, just says, "I'm good, thanks," while she mentally screams that even pro hunters would sell a kidney for this chance. She refuses to let it end there and in full panic mode throws out, "What about the written test?" Like she's haggling for a used car sale. Our guy shrugs that he can handle the theory exam on his own. Reading a book isn't exactly transcendent difficulty. She sprints to keep up and yells and raids, arguing that from what she's seen, he's already ready and would be missing out if he's not registered. Our bro explains that temporary raid certificates only come from government-approved academies, as she flails harder and shouts that she is government-approved and can set it up so he raids as soon as he joins. Our boy actually pauses this time, his gamer brain hearing instant raid access, and stopping his feet like someone just said double XP weekend. Office Hunter sees the hesitation, screams internally he's hesitating, go for the kill, and rapidly downshifts into fine, no instruction, just a free space to train. Then she drops the nuclear line. She'll never ask him for any money at all, big bold all caps free, hitting his broke soul like a crit. He turns around like, "So just an affiliation then," basically confirming this is a sponsorship deal where he provides stats and she provides logo. Our boy points out that if he's rubbing her academy's back, he assumes he gets something in return and asks what exactly she wants. She lays it out. Until the pro exam, he'll participate in all activities under her academy's name and tell everyone he's her student wherever he goes. MC internally admits it's a really good offer. It solves his license problem, raid problem, and time problem all in one go, and the gains way outweigh the costs still. He narrows his eyes and asks why she's so interested in him specifically, because this is a lot of effort for one broke spear goblin. With sparkly lighting, she says she can see his potential, basically calling him a limited SSR she refuses to let another guild poach. Our boy smirks with a little and thinks, not bad, liking the sound of being recognized as a walking investment. He decides they can use each other. She gets a hero mascot, he gets infrastructure and paperwork, and sticks his hand out, introducing himself as our guy. Desperate teacher Lady clasps it, gives her own name, and says she's got a feeling they can help each other out, forming the most poverty-coded duo in Hunter history. The next day his phone buzzes. An uncle coworker calls to ask if this new situation was our boy's doing. The uncle says they've got a new supervisor and wonders if MC said something to someone, which is corporate speak for, "Did you finally snipe that clown?" Yesterday she also thanks our guy again, admitting that the previous near disaster was really his fault, and she can't express how grateful she is. We flash back to yesterday where MC politely said he did, in fact, have one little favor to ask. He asked the visiting hunter to tell the company she didn't trust leaving monsters with their supervisor, implying the guy was more dangerous than the beasts. Our boy didn't expect them to actually fire the supervisor that fast, assuming the man just rage quit in shame after the accident. Uncle laughs that their old supervisor and shame don't belong in the same sentence, but admits everyone does look a lot happier without him. The uncle asks if our bro is on his way there. and we cut straight to MC standing in front of the tiny Dream Hunter Academy, building desperate teacher waves from the entrance yelling his name and telling him to come this way like it's some grand campus and not a scuffed startup. Inside, she hands him a card with a little flourish and says here's his temporary license. It's an official Hunter Association card with his name and class on it, not some sketchy printout, and MC is low-key impressed. She says she got it made yesterday, and he thanks her, thinking he was starting to worry, but she actually pulled through. He flips the card between his fingers and admits that while he's not a pro hunter yet, this license really feels like his first real step. Our boy pockets the card, grips it like a gamer holding a new expansion key and says, "Here we go, tell me how to do a dungeon raid." Desperate teacher laughs and says why tell him when she can just show him, which is anime for no safety briefing. She gestures at a rack of weapons and tells him to pick anything he likes so they can leave right away, like this is a shopping spree and not a life or death job. Then she casually mentions she already reserved a dungeon in advance, which is wild because he literally just got his license 10 seconds ago. Our boy immediately demonstrates his spear love by smacking a rat monster straight through the skull with a clean downward POW. He then glares back and asks teacher lady why she's following him when she promised to leave him alone, spear still dripping rodent. She draws her own weapon and says technically she is leaving him alone. She's just not stupid enough to leave her only student unsupervised on his first raid. She tells him to think of it as one-on-one elite tutoring, while cackling like a private tutor who knows he can't afford to complain. Our boy mutters what an honor in the flattest voice possible, fully aware he's stuck with clingy sensei DLC. She reminds him it's his first raid and her tagging along is just a precaution, then explains this dungeon is normally filled with kobolds only. She warns him not to get cocky just because of the manticore stunt. Kobolds are still 2-star threats and perfect for noobs to grind hands on experience. As they walk deeper, she says thankfully, like with the manticore, it's pretty easy to pierce the shield magic these mutts use. Our bro explains that normally magical attacks just bounce off the translucent shields that monsters put up. One of those rat-faced kobolds lunges with a slash and teacher yells watch out, while our boy ducks low, instincts snapping in. He notices that, weirdly enough, his very magical spear attacks are slicing straight through the monster's shield. He carves another kobold with a clean slash, listening to the thing squeal as he realizes his basic swings are ignoring game mechanics. Right then, system notifications ding up. Small boost for Horse Sensei's course, a bit for Spear Conqueror's class, and 0 for Buddha, who refuses to hand out free mental credit. He grins that his progress is going up, not manticore levels of insanity, but still pretty solid for just 2 kobold kills. He looks back at the girl, nods and tells her let's speed it up. Clearly satisfied he can handle trash mobs, he adds that best of all, he can make real money doing dungeon raids, making this feel like a part-time job where the paycheck is exp and rent. Our boy lights up and realizes this is literally just like grinding experience in a video game. Except now every POW to Kobold's face moves 3 separate course bars and pays the bills at the same time.